Have you ever wondered how quickly admiration can turn into quiet resentment? Why someone who once celebrated you now seems distant? Or why a colleague who once praised your efforts suddenly starts to challenge you? And perhaps most confusing of all, why people sometimes grow hostile for reasons you can't even explain, as if something deep and invisible has been triggered inside them. In this video, we'll uncover the hidden psychological and social forces that lie behind these sudden shifts. We'll explore Carl Jung's concept of the shadow, the modern science of projection and envy, and the fragile power dynamics that govern human relationships. By the end, you'll understand why people may start disliking you even when you've done nothing wrong, and why their reactions often reveal more about them than about you. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to Beyond the Twist and join our Telegram community, where you'll find early access to new videos and deep insights on self-awareness and personal growth. Now, let's begin. Most of us assume that when someone turns against us, it must be our fault. Maybe we said something wrong. Maybe we changed too much. That's why rejection feels so personal. It touches our sense of worth. But in truth, most hostility has little to do with our actions. Much of what people project onto you is born from their own hidden battles. Once you understand this, you free yourself from unnecessary guilt and constant self-blame. You begin to see that hatred isn't always a verdict on your character. It's often a mirror reflecting someone else's inner struggle. Carl Jung described the shadow as the unconscious part of the mind that stores everything we deny: our anger, our shame, our forbidden desires, and the emotions we refuse to face. The shadow never disappears. It shapes how we see others, often without us realizing it. This is why your presence can feel threatening to some. If you express qualities they've buried, confidence, kindness, independence, you awaken something uncomfortable inside them. They don't truly see you. They see the reflection of what they can't accept in themselves. Jung warned that when people lack self-awareness, they project their shadow outward, turning others into enemies. In that sense, hatred often isn't about truth, it's about projection. Projection is how the shadow escapes into the world. When someone can't face their own flaws, they unconsciously start seeing those flaws in others. Modern psychology recognizes this as a defense mechanism, a way the mind protects itself from painful truths. The person who calls you arrogant may be hiding their own need for validation. The coworker who resents your ambition might be struggling with their own unrealized potential. Once projection takes hold, their hostility begins to feel justified, even when you've done nothing to deserve it. That's why hatred often feels so sudden. It's not about what you did. It's about what they see in you that they can't face within themselves. And recognizing this truth helps you stop taking every reaction so personally. Think about how this unfolds in everyday life. At work, maybe a colleague quietly undermines your ideas, not because you threaten their job, but because your success challenges the story they tell themselves about who's more capable. In friendships, someone might distance themselves when you begin to grow or improve, not because you've changed for the worse, but because your progress reminds them of where they're stuck. When you see this clearly, you stop mistaking someone's resentment for evidence of your mistakes. Every relationship holds invisible hierarchies. Who leads, who follows, who gives validation, and who depends on it. These dynamics are rarely spoken about, but silently shape behavior. When you evolve, when you set boundaries, succeed, or step outside the role others assigned you, the balance shifts. The friend who relied on your compliance may now resent your independence. The colleague who once felt superior might feel insecure in your presence. Even family members can resist your growth if it disrupts the version of you they're comfortable with. As sociologists like Pierre Bourdieu explained, people constantly negotiate status and recognition. And when that balance changes, resentment quietly appears. The hostility you face often isn't about your choices themselves, but about what those choices represent in that unspoken hierarchy. Then there's envy, the silent fuel of hidden hostility. Unlike anger, envy doesn't shout. It hides. It shows up as distance, half-hearted support, or polite indifference. Research defines envy as both the pain of seeing someone else's success and the desire to lessen that success. Ironically, envy often shows up strongest among those closest to you. A stranger might admire your achievements, but a friend might experience them as a reminder of their own stagnation. Your growth makes their comfort zone uncomfortable. Your freedom highlights their fear. And instead of facing that feeling, they withdraw into quiet resentment. That's why admiration can so easily turn into rivalry. The same person who once celebrated your progress might now minimize it or subtly dismiss it. Envy corrodes connection. It poisons trust quietly until relationships begin to fracture under the surface. Before we move forward, if this video is opening your eyes to why people sometimes turn against you, consider sharing it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you'd like to support thoughtful work like this, you can do so using the thanks button below. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content here on Beyond the Twist. Now, let's continue. Perhaps the most powerful trigger of all is authenticity. To live authentically is to align your life with your truth, to remove the masks that once kept others comfortable but suffocated you. Studies in social and personality psychology show that authenticity leads to greater well-being, but it also disrupts illusions. Many people rely on roles, facades, and pretenses to protect fragile identities. When you show up as your true self, you unknowingly disturb those illusions. You remind others of the compromises they've made, the truths they've silenced, and the dreams they've abandoned. That's why authenticity often provokes resistance. Some will call you arrogant, selfish, or changed, not because you are those things, but because your honesty exposes their pretense. Your truth unsettles the masks they depend on. Yet, authenticity is magnetic. While it stirs resentment, it also awakens admiration. Even those who criticize you may secretly wish they had your freedom. So why do people suddenly start hating you? Often, it's not about who you are. It's about what your presence awakens in them. You mirror their shadow. You disrupt their hidden hierarchies. Your success triggers their envy, and your authenticity challenges their illusion of control. Carl Jung once wrote, "Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people." When you understand hostility as a projection of inner conflict, you no longer shrink yourself to ease someone else's discomfort. You stop blaming yourself for the storms that started inside others. And most importantly, you keep living truthfully, even when it unsettles those who can't. Because the greatest threat you pose isn't your mistakes, it's your honesty. And truth, once lived fully, has the power to transform not only you, but even those who resist it the most. If this video gave you a new way of seeing human behavior, share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if you want more deep insights like this, don't forget to subscribe to Beyond the Twist. There's much more to come.